being adaptable is such a key thing in the coffee business or any business whatsoever. It's just being able to be like, okay, it is not what I was doing or how it was being done, but this is how it is done here. And being able to adapt to that. Not only do you gain new skills by being able to learn those things, you make yourself just extra valuable at being able to have said, you know, in the future where I go, having transitioned through multiple companies and multiple things, I take all those experiences with me. And yeah, the adaptability and just being like, you know, the job is the job. Always has been. It's always been the same job. We serve customers. We try to raise up the leaders. We, you know, do product in stores and we make people happy.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
And we are live.
Yes. All I have to say is we're with our boy, Stephen Donley. Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Coffee expert, Stephen Donley's on deck. Great to have you, man.
Hey, good to be here, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah, Ben, thank you for putting it together. See, Stephen's a slippery fish, bro. You can't just let the guy, like, if you let him off the hook too far, he just disappears on you. So, like, we got to make sure you in. Ben, thanks for locking it down.
Yeah, you gotta catch me at the right time. Ben he knows my timings. He knows when to find me. Like,
I was like, I bet you
can't
Steven's
get
on
me
the
too far
tour.
ahead of time. Yeah, you can't be too far ahead of time. You gotta like day before be like, yeah, you want to hop in? I'm like, sure. You know what? Let's just do it.
See, if I knew that, bro, don't tell us the secrets, because if I know that's the magic, I'm gonna be planning every day for stuff tomorrow.
What's happening with me sometimes is if I book too many things, I end up booking too many things, and I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot I have this and this and this, and so you give me a day before, and I'm like, you know what, I have a thing going tomorrow. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. So there you go. There's the secret to what makes me go.
Land in the trout. It's all about how to fish, bro.
One hour at a time.
Oh man, great to have you today, man. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Stephen, tell us a little bit about you, man. Like, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And we've interviewed you. Have we interviewed you on Coffee Experts in the past?
I don't think so. No, this is the first time right here. Yeah, right now I'm currently a regional manager for BlackRock Coffee. I've worked in coffee for, thinking about it. I talk about it now a lot. Probably 15 years, I think, with a little.
Oh, can we just pause and just say you're old, dude? That's old.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like you know, I keep getting older, but like all the braces stay the same age. They're all still 19, 20. You know, and I'm like, man, I'm sitting here, and they're like, I was talking to someone today, and it was like, she was like, well, when did you graduate? And I told her I graduated. And she's like, oh, I was one. So here we are. But I mean, through those years, I've been through all the ups and downs, transitions. I've been through multiple companies, multiple different, feelings and vibes in each company. Worked with a ton of people, great people, different people, strange people. It's been everything. You see everything in coffee. So
yes, you do.
And it started at Berlin, right? Wasn't that, or did you start at Espresso World?
Started in Espresso World, yeah.
Espresso World, that's right.
It's funny because when I actually talk about it, like even when like BlackRock came in and purchased our company, I was like, they're like, how long have you been here? I was like, well, technically, I worked for the company that this company bought before. I'm like the third generation kind of still hanging out here doing this thing. So there was a little break in between where I left Espresso World, went over to Berlin, went to Seattle for a bit, played some music, came back, and I've been working in coffee ever since, again, full time. So
your iteration went Espresso World
to
BlackRock,
Espresso World,
Berlin.
Espresso World, Berlin, Roasters, BlackRock. Yeah.
And now you're regional for BlackRock. How many stores are in your region?
We're at 4. I oversee our Wall location as well. So I have our Road 68, our Pasco 20th location, and our downtown Kennewick location. I do a lot of work for different things here and there for all the stores, internet stuff, some inventory stuff, like training things, but mostly just those 4 stores are my direct report to stuff. So
it's awesome, man. So, I mean, obviously, Ben, I don't want to take over the show. Like, I feel like it's notoriously Aaron O'Vivian to show up late and just be like, hey, Ben, I'm in. Let me take the whole damn show. So I want to make sure I'm not taking over everything for Coffee Experts. But like, this is a pretty exciting little group of guys. I don't always get to come in and just have so much history with so many. For those of you just tuning in maybe for the first time and you don't understand like the depth that's going on here in this conversation. So Ben used to be a client. He was the director of operations over Roasters Coffee, which, 15 locations in a roastery. At Roasters, Stephen worked underneath Ben. So Stephen was a regional for Roasters that came up underneath Ben as Ben was like, hey, let's start raising up regionals. And so he raised up several regionals. Stephen was one of those, but Stephen is the only that has transitioned into this new sales vehicle of BlackRock, and BlackRock taking on Roasters and taking them on as a brand. So when you hear all of Stephen's history, yeah, he's got a lot of history, but we've got a lot of history too. So I think it's really cool when you can get on a call like this and just talk shop with dudes that you know and you love and that you respect because they've really been doing the work. They're not just new. They're not just showing up. They're not just bouncing around. So Stephen, tons of respect for you, man, for being able to transition. Like not everybody's able to transition. And maybe you want to talk about that a little bit. I'm sure it is not easy to go from espresso world to moving to a different town, learning a whole new section of cross section of coffee, coming back to your old employer that now is bought out by a new employer that then some, decade later sells to a much larger entity and then having to transition all those things. Maybe talk to us a little bit about transitions and the art of how you've done it. Cause truly you're one of the few that have lasted the full transition.
Yeah, I mean, the transition is crazy. I think about, a year ago to now and where we were and where we are and training, all the employees, these new recipes and new scheduling systems, new reporting systems, new everything, getting all these new leaders raised up. I think the biggest thing for me is just always keeping the perspective that like, the skills are there. The job itself, no matter where you move to, there's always requirements. They're going to change. They're going to be different. Being adaptable is such a key thing in the coffee business or any business whatsoever. It's just being able to be like, okay, it is not what I was doing or how it was being done, but this is how it is done here. And being able to adapt to that. Not only do you gain new skills by being able to learn those things, you make yourself just extra valuable at being able to have said, in the future, where I go, having transitioned through multiple companies and multiple things, I take all those experiences with me. And yeah, the adaptability and just being like, the job is the job. Always has been. It's always been the same job. We serve customers. We try to raise up the leaders. We, keep product in stores and we make people happy. And that's really what it is. And that doesn't change throughout multiple businesses. The little things change, like the red tape in the back changes, all those sort of things. But, policies change and things like that. And employees change. But all of that really, at the end of it, the brass tacks is people, serving people. And then in my position, raising up people who have the same ideas, the same adaptability, hopefully kind of instilling myself a bit in those people and creating the same kind of vibe in them where they want to serve the way that I did, to get to the position I am. So it has been challenging. Don't get me wrong. There's not every day's been a walk in the park. Okay. Like there are things that, there are days when it's great. There are great things about, swaps and changes. And there are things that are frustrating at first. Sometimes you feel like you're pounding your head against the wall, but you really sit down, you stop and think about it. Yeah, it does make you better. It makes you better at what you do. It makes you well seasoned. I am well seasoned. Little gray hairs coming in here now, so the salt and the pepper. So yeah, the salt and the pepper. I'm fully seasoned right now. But yeah, not to say it's been easy, but adaptability is not always easy. It's always, it can be a struggle. Change is a struggle. But at the end of the day, you end up coming out of it being a lot better at what you do than you were in the first place. So the ups and downs have been great.
Was it hard with the swap over with the employees just from like that training recipe aspect? Like, did it seem like it took them a while to pick that up, or were they pretty easy to switch over to new recipes and new equipment and all that?
And let's qualify, right? Because there were some pretty big shifts, right? We went from like, just from my product knowledge and some of the brands that we've opened since Roasters, right? Because Roasters was my starting point for coffee. It wasn't yours, and I think Ben did a little bit of time at Starbucks, but really a lot of his beginnings was Roasters too. And so it was really the Roasters way that we knew and that we pedaled forward too, of speed, service, strength as the core, like really looking at the products that we helped develop for Roasters and how can we help other brands develop the same kind of products. But coming in with BlackRock, like I know that they made a fundamental shift away from like frap powder to frap, like they use malt.
Ice cream base.
Yeah. Ice cream base. I know that their energy drink, obviously Roaster had developed their own energy drink. BlackRock's got their own energy drink. I'm sure that changed a bunch of how you're doing your mixing and how all the shows go. So I think there's some pretty big shifts in very central or very key products that were all in high sellers. And that was some of my question, like as BlackRock was coming in and my role had been analysis and looking at what sells, why sells. And I'm like, don't mess with the magic. Don't mess with the magic. There's such good profitability here. Don't mess with the magic. No, but like, obviously they're a bigger entity. They've got things that they've proven and feel work. And so obviously those things are going to change, but yeah, to speak to those things, I think there's some pretty big shifts that happen.
Yes, I mean we switched several things. You know, there's a whole new size in both pot and ice. We have 4 sizes now as opposed to 3. That's a big change. The brew ratio, just the shot, you know, water weight in, espresso out, like all that stuff changed. That's a different, you know, just even the basic of pulling a shot and what that was supposed to look like and come out like completely changed. Yeah, new energy drink, new a lot of the same drinks we kept, you know, top sellers in there. A lot of the same similar drink recipes, but made differently. Obviously, we use different milks, milk bases. We carried a whole milk. There's just a lot of little things that almost the fact that it was such little changes made it at times more difficult because there was so much similar that the kids wanted to continue creating the same patterns, right? And so they wanted to continue putting the same things, you know, in certain drinks. When it's like, no, this is how we do it now. This is the recipe. This is the ratio. Moving from something as simple as moving from scoops of flavor to pumps of flavor, reteaching that, teaching the ratios and the changes back and forth. And that was tough. Yeah, there was a period of time where all day, every day for me was just getting my stores, sitting down for like 8 hours a day, training session of recipes and training and going through it because we had to get these stores flipped. You know, we were still an operating business. Like when we closed and we stopped, we were still working, making money, making drinks and transitioning. So that's what was crazy about it. It wasn't like we stopped those doors, trained everybody, reopened. It was like, we're going to keep this moving and then we're going to train while we're doing it. So I was still overseeing stores that were in operation while I was training all day long. It was cool. It was a really great opportunity to, you know, I think it was easier for the kids who had just gotten hired because they were going with no knowledge, you know, they just got to learn the new recipes. It was a little harder for some of our people that were veterans that you're like, man, these people have been doing coffee forever, but they're having the hardest time catching on to these, you know, these new flavors, these new concepts, these new drinks. And that's what's kind of interesting is that it was a flip. Usually you're like, you rely on your veterans to kind of carry for a while. And this is a period of time where everywhere, everyone had a little bit of weakness somewhere. You know, we had newbies that were coming in, almost knew the recipes better than our veterans, but they weren't as fast as our veterans. The veterans are fast, but they were like, they maybe were steamrolling through making drinks weird and old fashioned ways. And so it was like, you had to find that common ground of like, all of a sudden your vets start feeling like they're not all that confident. You got to really, really, as a leader, step up and instill confidence in them, start pouring back into people. It really does reset you quite a bit. And it's really small things, but those small things make a huge difference because a lot of coffee is just muscle motor memory. So when you're just flying, you're serving customers, and you're talking to them, you know, it affects everything from what you're doing, how you're thinking, and how you serve. Because if you're not able to sit and chat with everybody because you're so focused on like 1, 2, 3, like you're thinking about splitting stuff and doing recipes, you can't have those cool, fun conversations much anymore. So service lacks as well. And so it's a whole thing. Like little things create, you know, snowballs. And it has been, you know, it's been crazy, but it's been fun. And we've got everybody, we do consistent, you know, BlackRock has a really good setup where we do consistent, you know, quarterly trainings where we have everybody quizzed on the recipes and everything. And if, you know, if you get under a certain score, we do, you know, an online retraining for everybody that's in our region. So we do check in on recipes. We send out recipe, you know, specials and recipes like that all the time. But yeah, little tiny things make astronomical differences from just the way a drink tastes to how it's made to how it's even served, you know, and how someone can focus on serving it from the veterans to the new people. So transition is really a stretch. It really is. It takes a lot. I'm a lot better for it. Was it a stressful few months? Absolutely. But man, the people we have here now and the people that are working are really strengthened, really strong. And the new leaders that are here are really cool too. Because we had a lot of people that weren't able to catch on or didn't want to catch on, move on to other things that have been here for a while. So that was another cool opportunity, was having new people step into positions that were maybe not getting opportunities because they weren't available because people have been sitting in them for so long. Then now it's seeing those people kind of step up as well into new positions and new strength. And it is all about kind of creating, you know, that whole new vibe, a whole new generation and culture of people here. So
yeah, that's always like the toughest part, right? When you have a transition that you have like the old guard that's just like, no, this is the way that we did it and I can't change. And it's so tough. I'm curious, like, how's it been finding and raising up new like shop managers, new store managers from, you know, from that crew of people if they haven't left? Because I imagine like, you know, there's probably a lot of good baristas that stuck around who are like, oh, you could be a store manager now, but are they like, but I remember my old manager who was the old guard and I want to do it like, has that been difficult of getting people to sort of like basically hit F5 on their brains for the new company.
Let me tag into this as well. Roasters culture was very much work your way up, right? Like ingrain it into them as they perform well as a barista, move them up to a lead, to an assistant, move them up to a manager. Is that BlackRock's philosophy as well? Because I know that roasters didn't ever reach from outside and pull people in. It was always
Mhm.
up and grow them. Like maybe like philosophies around how you are finding managers now.
Mhm. Yeah. So, with us here, it's been very much the same. We want to pull from within. I don't think there hasn't been an instance here where we've pulled from outside the company yet. There always is, I think any transition, any change, just like at a store level, when there's a change in management, a lot of times when a new manager comes in, you'll see a few of the employees trickle off and leave because they don't like the new manager or they just don't get along with the way they manage things. To see a few customers take off for a minute before they come back because you have to regain their trust, right? So on a company wide level in this area, we saw that happen. We saw, we brought in a new whole banner over as a whole new store, a whole new company. And so you see both the things of, facing issues with customers being like, well, I don't know, are they the same? Should we come around? Should we, you see those not natural dips because people are they're worried about it. And then, yeah, you see a lot of the old guard, you see a lot of those other people, they come in and they're like, this isn't really for me. They move on to other things. But what's been cool is that there are still, there's been a lot of those people that weren't so much veterans back then, a year and a half ago that were just, really good, kind of biding their time, hanging out, and they've really all stepped up. There are, a couple people that were managers underneath me have now moved up into regional, and they call them MSLs, multi-store lead positions. So they're just like mine, and they're overseeing multiple locations now, and they're raising up leaders, which is really cool to see. So it's really opened up opportunities. As much as people have moved on, that's sad to see. They're all going on to cool things and new things and great things for them, taking their skills other places. And it does allow for, those people that had been waiting for years to move up to really step in those positions. And a lot of them have been happy to. There have been moments where we've had people come out of the blue, though, that haven't worked for us for very long, that just show skills and abilities of leadership that you just lock into. You don't go, you've been here for a long time, you get the position. We always sit down in interviews, even if we think we know who we're going to interview, we were like, this person's probably going to get the job. We sit down with everybody who wants to interview because people surprise you. And even if you don't end up choosing that person, you remember like, whoa, they're for a future position, they're really good. Even though there's another fit for this position, you always want to interview those people so that you get that opportunity to go, wait, like that person surprised me. And I've got them in my memory bank about the next opening that comes up. I want to find a place for them because they have these skills. And a lot of times people come out of nowhere with those, Sia, there was somebody I just interviewed the other day. It's been here for like 4 months. She's just closing over at the Southbridge location. Shout out Southbridge. That's one of my old store. My first store I ever managed. But she blew us away, like just with the answers she had to, what leadership was and, the responsibility that comes with it and how she would rise to the occasion and all those things. Like, I was like, man, okay. Like, did not expect this. I hadn't even met her yet in the company because, we do have a lot of new faces. And I was like, that's just cool. So every single thing that's come up, I'm like, applied for it. And I've put her name out there to every other, RM now that has any positions opening up. I'm like, this girl's a solid contender for any position you have. So yeah, sometimes you get surprised by just really quality skilled people that, my story of roasters was, being brought up from, I was a resilient and then I was brought into, a manager position before I even really knew how to make the recipes. But it was seen that I had the abilities and the leadership skills to lead people. So the recipes would come along after them being there being like, wait, what was the record again? To my baristas, they were helping me on bar, but they had, gained the respect and, they loved me and I grew to, learn the recipes, obviously, and all these drinks. And, sometimes it's not about just having the knowledge, it's about having the want to and the energy. So
I'm curious. I mean, as much as like Gen Z and this new gen gets flack for like not being good leaders or not wanting to participate or, just being sort of on the sidelines, do you see that in sort of like the managerial candidates, or is it kind of like, no, actually they're got just as much leadership quality as say, your my generation would have when we were looking to become shop managers and shop leaders?
I think it is definitely a more, it's not as, you can just see it like night and day, you see the way they interact with people, the way they carry themselves through life and the way they answer things, say in an interview, and you can see those qualities in there and sometimes realize that they're more of a raw, you know, thing than like you're refined. Like you've got it might be take some refining, but you see the skills. I think one thing we notice is that not everybody just has a hunger to try for those things anymore. That's what's hard. It's harder to find people who want to do leadership. I think the ones that do come out, you're like, okay, these are great people, but it's not like it used to be where it's like you started working and you wanted to move up. You wanted to move up. Kids nowadays are like, ah, I'm good. I have it nice here. It's cool. I'm just enjoying my life for now. It's a different vibe. I remember when I was, when we were younger, if we gotten offered opportunities to move up, we took them because you had like, that's what you did. You moved up all the time. All that's what you wanted to do. This generation is a little different in that aspect where a lot of them are just kind of content to, they like where they're at, they're enjoying their lives, and they love the experience, they love the people. And sometimes they'll be like, I see that you have the skills, and they're like, nah, though, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're like, okay, well, that's fine. Like then you can keep reminding them and eventually maybe seeing them step into it. But like a lot of times, yeah, we'll be like, I think you have the skills to do it. And you'll have a person that's like, I don't, nah, not right now, not for me. And it is a different vibe because I know back, when I was first starting as a barista, if you got offered an assistant position or, being a night lead or anything like that, you're like, yes, like you felt value, intrinsic value from that. I don't think that so much kids don't find value from just being praised at work anymore, getting a promotion. They find it in other places and other things, which is kind of just a shift in our culture, not even just necessarily our generation, but like, it's not just from, you don't find your identity from work, So in ways you do see, like you do find look really, really great ones a little bit easier because it's not just not everyone's trying, but it is also at times hard to find those great ones because a lot of the great ones don't want to speak up. So you kind of have to draw it out of them. So sometimes you do have to encourage people to even apply and let them know they do have that, like you do have what it takes. And I think you could succeed. So yeah, it's a whole new ballgame.
Interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts, Stephen? I'm interested in this because all that was just fascinating. And I think so much different than a lot of things Ben and I usually work through with coffee experts and talking. So thank you for like giving us so much insights. We got like 6 minutes left, but I would love to hear, you went from a brand that had really raised itself up in the Tri-Cities area as being like hometown hero. I mean, like one, two-Z stores into 4Z, 5Z stores, into 10 stores, into now it's regional, like it's getting bigger and bigger to a franchise, and obviously we consult both with Coffee Experts Club, but we lean with Indie Coffee Coalition a lot into the indies a lot these days. We work with both. We have like the BlackRocks and the human beings and the different people that we consult with at a franchise level, but we do a lot with independents too, the 1Z, 2Z, 3Z shops. And I didn't think about it until you started talking about the transitions and the shifts and the different changes, but I wondered what that's been like of have you felt that? Have you felt that internally because I feel like roasters really had something they could push back on the Dutch bros or the human beings that rolled into their town and be like, dude, those guys, franchise chains, whatever, they could talk so much trash because they were town hero. But then when you sell to a chain, when you sell to a franchise, then I wonder if the feeling feels different because now as BlackRock rolls in, I mean, they're a big deal, but not as big deal as Dutch Bros is. Dutch Bros is bigger. BlackRock is as far as number of stores and span of power. And that BlackRock versus human being. I know you've got some human beings in your town. Like, how do you feel like you guys have found yourself in the mix? And have you seen a transition away from feeling imbibed with the people that come in of hometown hero versus, oh, you're just a franchise now, like any other franchises in town? And how has that worked with brand loyalty? Maybe just some things around that.
I think one thing that's really helped us is that so much of the previous company, what we were doing was, loving the customer base. So a lot of the same people being in the shops has helped a lot. It was a good transition for BlackRock to come in. They inherited a great culture of people that love their customers. So the hard part was really just learning how to do their thing. The difficulty is, the feeling of, what was created in Roasters was like, everybody kind of felt like there was this beginning opportunities, right? This feeling of like, everyone had a little bit of ownership. We could all, the corporate level, where you're at with a bigger company, it's still there. Like this is still the start of them even. They're growing astronomically. Plan on opening like 28 stores this year, like crazy stuff.
Crazy.
Cool opportunities. They get, we send people on grand openings all the time. I've gone to 5 different states this year with the company. Really cool stuff. Those are the benefits of being in that situation. It is difficult though. When people come in, customers are like, oh, it's corporate. Even if you have the same people and you're serving similar drinks and you're serving the same way with the same care, it's different to them. It is now, as much as we've seen some people leave, we are now gathering in new customers. And, the brand's the brand with BlackRock. When you get to the corporate level, you don't see, all the little niche shops with different designs in each one and everything. Like we set up shops and we want all to be the same because we have to operate the same because we have to be consistent. Consistency trumps everything. in those instances, because you want to be able to go to BlackRock, Tri-Cities and BlackRock Dallas and get the same drink and have the same experience and feel like you're not in a different company altogether.
Yep.
So when you keep it at that level, there is that feeling of at times where you're like, I'm just a cog in the wheel. But really, I think what BlackRock does well is they send people from all their areas on every grand opening down to celebrate those grand openings, take them there for the weekend. Everybody gets to be a part of the growth of the company. So whereas you aren't feeling as much involved in, like I'm going to be, this is the very beginning grassroots start of something. I have opportunities to go up forever and ever. Like you still, even if you're at the lowest barista level, can have the opportunity to go and be a part of like growth itself and experience and meet people, do things that you didn't get to do on the company dime and hang out and meet. The owners always show up and hang out and meet everybody. So that's the difficult part of being in the corporate is that culture. How do you maintain it when you get so big? How do you keep making everybody feel like there is this, we're doing something together? Because when you're that big, it's like, how can we all feel like we're doing something together? There's so many of us, and who even knows who I am? So having those opportunities to select baristas and send them down, to California to do a grand opening, or to Texas or Arizona, it's a cool experience to have when you're 20, 19 years old, and go down and meet some other young people that have the same hunger and passion you do. And maybe it does ignite, a leadership want in them. But it's a very different, different than meeting in a living room and hanging out and talking about the future together. It's like, it's very different, and it's cool in its own way. There's so much benefit to having those, small starting points, and there's so much ownership that you feel in those. And it seems like every single thing you do when you're in that scenario is just like, it just amplified, because everything that breaks your heart and makes you the happiest, on a more corporate level, I think it stays more even keel. It's just, we do our jobs, and we do well, then more opportunities come. It's less emotionally driven and more, technically driven. It's more numbers driven. It's more, it has to be consistent. So it's teaching me a whole new side to things. The passion and the care is there, and then you learn, the operations of like the business. Here's what we do, and then it keeps your mindset teaching those people underneath you, those same skills. Because they have the passion, they love hanging out with their people. But like, now let's teach them skills they can take to anywhere they go, whether it's with BlackRock or another company. They're gonna have skills to run a business in a way. So,
Steve, solid stuff, man. So good. I feel like we could do part 2s of Steven here in the future. So let's make sure this isn't the last time we see Steven cutting it up. I love it. Steven, thanks for joining us, man. So good to have you. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a great day, my man.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.